Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
And this week, Dolan's going to step on the other side of the microphone. Well, maybe he'll just turn his microphone on for
That'd be helpful.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about my experiences with this.
So why Dolan? Why is your microphone on this time?
Well, over the weekend, my sister graduated high school, so I made the 600-mile-ish trip to Gillette, Wyoming. I lived there for some time when I was a wee lad.
It's like last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year. So while I was down there, I decided to check out some of the breweries. The whole time I lived there, I'd never even known that there were breweries there, and I walked up and down downtown all the time. But we rolled into this place. It doesn't have a sign on the door.
Okay.
It just says fresh pizza.
That would have got me.
That would have drawn you in.
But looking at the pictures and stuff, I did notice there was a sign, but it's on a pole and it's closer to the road than it is the building. And so that's probably why we didn't see it.
So I want to clarify one thing real quick. So you had never gone to these breweries before until you met me and Brian, and now our influence is getting you to go to breweries.
That is correct.
Oh.
That is correct. This
like that.
podcast, yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Good. I thought it was just, what you do when you graduate in high school and you party. You go to the brewery.
Maybe.
Celebrate.
Yeah. Especially in Wyoming. There's not a ton to do there, probably, right?
Oh, no.
There's
no,
not a lot of
there
people
isn't.
there either.
No. Yeah, per capita, I think we have, out of the United States, I think Alaska beats us.
For the least amount of
So you have
people,
like 49th out of 50.
Yeah.
I always heard that if we had to start over and become states again, like Wyoming didn't have enough people to even be considered a state at this point, because you had to have like 500,000 population or something like that.
Well, and it's crazy too, because you notice that just by driving through. Like here in the Midwest, Nebraska, Kansas, there's a town every 7 miles.
That's what it feels
Probably.
like sometimes. Yeah.
15 miles. There, it's like the next town over is 45 minutes, and it's just 2-lane barrenness.
Man, sounds amazing.
So
Yeah.
get gas before you leave town.
Oh yeah. That happens frequently.
Oh, yikes.
So if we ever reformed as a country, it'd be Colorado North and like Montana South, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe. All right, Dolan. So we've got two different, and they're both brown ales, which I thought was kind of fun.
We haven't done any browns yet.
No. And this is a style for me that I've kind of come around on a little bit. In particular, thanks to a brewery in Lincoln, a smaller one called Backswing. They've got a really good brown ale, and I was kind of forced into it when I was in Lincoln probably a year and a half ago. My choices were like Miller Lite, Coors Light, and then the bartender's like, well, we got this other one from this small brewery here in Lincoln. I'm like, I don't care what it is, I'll take it. And it was a
Turned
brown.
out a good choice.
It was a great choice. So I've come around on these a lot. So we've got two. Gillette Brewing Company has one called, what is this, Dolan, what's the name of this
The
one?
Locomotive Brown.
Locomotive Brown.
Yes.
And then I like that's a weird, can you call this a growler?
We're going to.
So
or a
they
crowler.
called it a squealer.
Okay, that's
they had
yeah.
the growler, and then
Okay.
they had the squealer. and
That's
then-
what some people will call a crowler. If it's not a can, it's not a can. So if it's a glass bottle usually, or this one is not glass,
Okay.
you'll either see them called like Bostons,
Okay.
or you'll hear them called squealers.
Squealer.
Uh-huh.
It's a plastic,
Which is the first time I've ever seen that.
Oh.
It looks more like a syrup bottle.
yeah, like root beer or something. Yeah. So then the other one we have is from Black Tooth Brewing Company called Saddle Bronc Brown Ale.
And we get some of their beers here in Nebraska.
Do we? Mm-hmm. I think this design looks familiar.
That logo's cool.
Mm-hmm. It's a great logo.
I feel like I need that on a hat. I don't have that yet, but
Oh,
that'll be
Dolan,
on next on my list.
if he'd been a better friend, he would have brought you one.
Well,
back,
he
so.
didn't know.
Yeah, true.
Well, I didn't actually go to Blacktooth because it's about an hour away from Gillette. But they kind of have. I mean, they're the only two breweries in the
area.
northeast area
Yeah.
of Wyoming. So I thought it would be kind of fun to compare. The Saddle Bronc is a little bit more popular than the Gillette Brewing Company.
Interesting.
But personally, we'll get into that.
Let's
We'll
get into it. We
that.
haven't tasted it.
We'll get into that.
Which one do we
yeah.
want to do first?
Dolan.
Dolan, what do you think? You want to do the squealer?
Let's do the Saddle Bronc first.
Okay.
So
All right.
you know the standards of what a Wyoming
this is
Brown.
one that we can get.
Yeah.
We can get this
Yeah.
here.
I don't know if we can get that beer, but we can get this brewery, some of their stuff here.
Okay.
I know I've had a stout or a porter from them.
So the first thing I noticed as you pour this, I mean, it's a brown, but it's almost like a amber-ish. I thought it'd be darker, and maybe it's just the pour. I don't know, but it's yeah. Yours seems darker than mine. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe I didn't pour enough.
Yeah, I
don't know.
went full up.
So it smells like a brown. Mm-hmm. Brown has that really malty kind of dark smell.
It should smell malty. It should smell almost like nuts.
Yep.
Peanut legumes. Is that the term we're going to go with? Yeah. Peanuts, walnuts.
Mm-hmm. Very walnutty. It is a dark, delicious. Wow, that's good.
nutty, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
These should be very easy drinking. Mm-hmm. Depending on the style, and we'll get into it a little bit more. I'm guessing this is an American brown, and there's a difference between that and like the English brown. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing that these are going to be American style ones. Those are going to be a little stronger than the English, and they will be a little less sweet.
So Saddle Bronc, 4.8 ABV, 18 IBUs. So not bitter whatsoever.
Nope.
Not at all.
This is another one of these. We've talked about it throughout this whole series of like introductory beers or intro level beers. And this is a style that if you like this, you can push forward even a little bit further. This can get you into a porter or even like a German style beer, maybe a Dunkel or something a little darker. It's pretty close to that.
So while I was there, I did buy a couple different kinds of Black Tooth's beer. They're known for their amber ale.
Okay.
I didn't grab that because I thought it'd be a lot more cool to kind of compare the two breweries.
Look at him trying to be cool.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
working.
It is working.
It's surprisingly
The only
it's
thing
working.
I'm missing is the Hey Bud and the Double Guns, right?
Yes. All right, so let's see. Black Tooth Brewing. They have a cool slogan. Drink the West. That's their
cool.
hashtag. Drink the West.
That is cool.
312 Broadway Sheridan, Wyoming. Open Monday through Thursday, noon to 10. Friday and Saturday, noon to 11. Sunday, noon to 7. They opened in 2010, so they're only 9 years old. Not that much younger than Dolan. Opened its taproom doors and brewery with only a 10-barrel brew house. Two co-founders, Tim Barnes and Travis Zylstra. Sorry, Travis. Your name's hard to pronounce.
Yeah, for us Nebraskans.
Yeah, exactly. So Travis is a graduate of the Western Culinary Institute, so he's a foodie.
Yeah.
And he was the recipient of Brewer of the Year at the Great American Beer Festival in 2007.
I saw that too, yeah.
So 3 years before they opened, he won an award.
Doing something somewhere.
GABF, yeah.
So this beer, I found out it's won 9 awards in like
Interesting.
Great American or just different international and national beer competitions. It's placed or won nine things. So it's an award-winning beer. You know it's going to be good.
I can see why. It's nice,
very
smooth.
tasty.
I'm glad you bought a 6-pack of this because I will enjoy one of these later. For sure on my own. 2015, they completed a multi-million-dollar production facility capable of brewing on the upwards of 50,000 barrels a year. So they've got some distribution heading their way. No, it's coming for them if they haven't pushed that capacity to the limit already. But if we're getting it here, so something makes me think that maybe I've seen this in Colorado too. So they're getting there.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is Sheridan's most highly awarded brewery, according to them. So who knows? And maybe there's only one brewery in Sheridan.
I think there's only one, but
hey, whatever.
That doesn't you don't have to tell how many people are there.
No, it doesn't matter to me.
See, growing up there, Sheridan was always kind of the rival on everything, sports, academics, everything. So yeah, I didn't care too much to know much about Sheridan.
No? Interesting.
Wow. Well, luckily for you, I'm here with the facts.
All right.
The first thing I'm going to do is we're going to get just to the style a little bit.
Okay.
Kind of where it comes from. It's an English style beer. So it originated over there. They were popular until like about the 1800s. They started around the 1600s from what I could tell.
Okay.
And then for about 200 years, this was pretty much what you were going to get. And then they found out that they could use pale malts, and that's when they started making like pale ales and IPAs over there.
Okay.
And it was a lot cheaper than this stuff. It took less amount of ingredients. It was cheaper. So, business is business, and they've been cutting costs for hundreds and hundreds of years to run businesses. So that's why this style kind of fell out. And it wasn't really popular again until this little brewery called Newcastle started making it.
Might have heard of them.
So this is like the standard style of an English brown is Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that kind of rescued it. I think they're in Scotland, Ireland, something like that. I don't think they're in England proper. But they make that style of beer. Some of the ones that across the country that we can we've talked about. There's one from Abita, which is down in Louisiana, that's called Turbo Dog.
Yeah.
New Glarus has a nice brown that's called the Fat Squirrel. Goose Island has a nut brown ale. And one of the most popular ones across the whole gamut I looked up yesterday is one called from Samuel Smith. Mm-hmm. And they have a nut brown ale that's award-winning and very highly rated. So
I've had that one. The label is weird.
It's an English beer, and they make 4 or 5 different ones. They have a good chocolate stout, but they're an old 100-year-old brewery, and they make a real good example, and you can find them most places.
Cool.
So a brown is something that most breweries will make, or I would say at least over half of the breweries will have one of these. If it's not like a specialized one, this is a style of beer that most places will have.
Interesting.
And then the other thing that it started like in the 80s, like everything with the craft beer. They started making this in Texas. So browns were resuscitated in Texas. And I had that down here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Pete's Wicked Ale is what it was called. And it was made in this brewery in Texas. It was a home brewer that first came up with it.
Okay.
And then he opened a brewery and brewed it there. Until 2011.
Okay.
But then, even then, people's change of taste happened, and they don't make it anymore. But it was kind of the one that was like credited with being the one that brought the style to the United States.
Okay.
That's an American brown. It's a little bit stronger, a little bit hoppier, and the color will be a little bit darker. So that's just the main differences between the English style, the Newcastle, versus what probably we're going to be drinking, especially with
this one here,
Gillette one. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to know. Like, we should have brought a Newcastle in just to maybe compare the two to have that, because I've had Newcastle before. I don't mind it; it's fine. I think it probably just kind of runs together with the rest of these. But to try them head to head would have been interesting.
Yeah. The other thing, what I saw with kind of probably what this brewer was doing, since he's a foodie and a chef, this beer pairs really well with barbecue. Tex-Mex food, which is probably why they brought it to Texas.
Yep.
Grilled sausages, cheddar cheese, Gouda cheese, and pecan pie. So that's one of those food and beer pairings that is available if you're around.
That sounds good across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so what do you want to know about Sheridan? I got a few things for you, Dolan.
Besides the fact that he hated them.
Yeah, that was the first thing I found out. He didn't care to know about Sheridan,
Dolan
but I
doesn't
did.
like them.
I wanted to dig a little deeper, and I found some kind of weird stuff.
Awesome.
So I pulled it. Maybe you'll know.
To be fair, the last time I was in Sheridan, I think I was maybe 11 or 12, and I drove through for about a minute.
Clearly, you can drive when you're like 8 in Wyoming.
Yeah,
You can see over the steering wheel.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So my grandma could drive there.
Sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
In 1984,
Okay.
Queen Elizabeth II
Okay.
from England, you know her? She stayed at the Canyon Ranch near Sheridan
Really?
because one of her lifelong friends was married to a U.S. senator from Wyoming. So they came over, and her friend's name was Lady Porchester.
How do you get that, the lady part? How do you get
You
that?
marry a lord.
Oh. They
And
still
he
have
was-
lords?
yeah, of course.
Okay, okay.
And her husband, the senator, was in the family line, so he had the title. And she was from England. She was one of the Queen's friends, met this guy, married. She came over to visit in 1984.
Okay.
And then apparently, like the next day, there was a assassination attempt on Margaret Thatcher.
Yes.
And she was in the United States, the Queen was, and had to like coordinate some stuff, and called Ronald Reagan, and all this stuff happened, but it was right at this ranch in Sheridan.
Really?
This one I thought was crazy. 1986.
Okay.
MTV
Yeah.
had a movie premiere, a contest.
All right.
And then whoever won the contest, they would premiere this movie, and it was Prince's movie called Under the Cherry Moon.
I remember this movie.
That's the first time it was ever screened in Sheridan, Wyoming. So somebody won a contest for MTV, and that's the movie they showed.
No way.
And I can't imagine something. And I think Prince might have even went to the premiere.
Oh my gosh.
I think I read that somewhere.
Under the Cherry Moon wasn't a great film.
No, it was not good. It was
really,
no Purple Rain.
No.
Had a couple of good songs.
Yeah.
Sometimes It Snows in May, I think it's called. That's a good song.
Was Morris Day in that one too?
I don't think so. No.
I can promise you it was snowing in May in Sheridan when I was there.
Prince is from Minnesota, so
Yeah.
he's fine with
Yeah,
that.
that's
He was
maybe where it
at
came
the
from.
time.
The Sheridan Inn. This is a historic hotel that's still around. You can stay there. Co-investor of this place was Buffalo Bill Cody, so we know him. He used to audition people for his show, his Wild West show. He would sit out on the porch and then make people do their stuff, like shoot bow and arrow or whatever they were going to do in the show. He would just sit there and watch them, and they had to come to the Sheridan Inn to do their stuff.
His show was in Cheyenne, correct?
Cheyenne, yeah. It traveled all around. Went to London, England. It went Chicago, New York. A lot of those people and had never been out west. They had no idea like what a buffalo was or Native Americans. They brought like stuff like that. So it was a big cultural thing. It was like it was like the Game of Thrones of its time. Like everybody wanted to know about it and see it, and it was a huge thing. And then this was weird. So I think this is the right town, Sheridan. I'm pretty sure. There was a guy that lived there, and he came from another country, which was back then called Bara, B-A-R-A. We would now call it Pakistan.
Okay.
So he came over from there, and he bought a restaurant, and it was called Louie's. And he takes over the restaurant. He becomes known as Hot Tamale Louie because he sells hot tamales and hamburgers basically out of there.
But he's Pakistani.
Yes, but he's a
Okay.
Pakistani guy.
Okay.
So he bought the restaurant. He came over and got it in 1907 and selling their food. There's not a whole lot of restaurants in the town, right?
Yeah.
In 1926, he becomes a U.S. citizen. And then so he became a citizen in 1926. And then like a little bit after that, this Supreme Court case came through and basically said anybody that's like from the Arab countries are not eligible for citizenship. So he lost his citizenship, and like thousands and thousands of people in the United States did. I've never heard of this.
I've never heard of this.
He reclaimed it. There were some court cases and some things that happened. Went all the way back up to the Supreme Court. In 1954, he was allowed to get his citizenship back.
But for 20-some years, he wasn't a citizen.
He wasn't
again.
a citizen.
Huh.
So it basically, from what I could read and understand from it, it was a court case where there had been an amendment to something, and they basically said, okay, if you want to be a citizen, you have to be American or have been here for a certain amount of time. You have to be Caucasian, or you have to be like a freed slave. That's how you can become a citizen.
Okay.
So like not even Native Americans technically fit this
Wow.
thing. So then the guy that had the Supreme Court case at the beginning, who lost his citizenship, he became a citizen in Washington, and then they took it away. He moved to Oregon. He got it, and they took it away. Then he sued, and he was basically like, hey, we beat our oppressors. And I think he was from India or something like that. He's like, we beat the English. That makes me just like you because you guys did that same thing. I think we should get citizenship. And they're like, no. So then they lost his citizenship, and everybody else did too, which is crazy to think that was, in this century or last century, I guess, but only 50 years or so it's been.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask you, what year again did you say?
1954 it came back that he could get his citizenship. So then he goes back and visits his country, Bara, now Pakistan, and he has like a nephew or a grandnephew that he was fighting with. He wanted money because this guy had some money because he had this restaurant, and he got murdered.
So,
But he was famous in the town. His name was Zarif Khan. Or cool. Hot Tamale Louie.
Hot Tamale Louie.
Yeah.
What a weird like history repeating itself, right? I mean, our country's going through some weirdness right now like that. And
I guess it always is.
It always.
You know, if you look, there's always something going on.
Yeah.
But to me, that was crazy. I'd never heard of that in my life.
I've never heard of that either.
And, so whether it's like internment camps or all that terrible stuff.
Right.
This was around that same time frame that was even after this.
Yeah, like 1940s Japanese internment camps in California.
And then it takes 10 more years for these guys to be able to even become citizens. So
they don't teach elementary school kids some of that stuff.
No,
so,
I don't know. It's you got to really want to live here, I guess. God, that's a lot of fighting in court cases and money and stuff just to become a citizen of a country that doesn't want you to be a citizen. Crazy.
Let's be honest. If you have a cool nickname like Hot Tamale Louie, you're going to do everything you can to hang on to that.
I want to get that copyrighted on T-shirts. Oh yeah, everything.
Hot Tamale Louie.
Hot Tamale Louie.
So that's what I got, Sheridan. Now you know.
Interesting. Well, I have.
This beer is really good, by the way.
Yes, I can't wait to drink one on my own. That was a good one. Let's do the Untapped here. 7,500 ratings.
That's a lot.
That's a lot for this one.
That's everybody in Wyoming.
It's virtually, and then a couple people from Montana too. So
2 people on vacation.
So, what do you think the average is?
I go 3. Oh man, that's tough. You got to factor a lot of things in. I go 3.63.
I was going to say 3.6.
Yeah, you're so close. 3.69.
Yeah.
Which I can't disagree with that. I'm going to do like a 3.75 on this one. It's probably almost a 4.
I'm right in that same area.
Yeah.
It's really good. I like it.
It's one of the better browns that I've had. So, all right, let's open up the squealer here from Gillette Brewing Company. Dolan, what was the name of this one?
Locomotive Brown. Yeah. I guess it won second in the U.S. Beer Open or something like that.
There was far less information available.
That's a lot darker. Look at that.
It is a lot. Oh my goodness, it is a lot darker. Yeah,
almost looks like a porter.
Almost. Yeah, there's virtually no light coming through.
Except when you shake it at the very top, you can see that brown on yours. If you move that again, you see it just at the very top.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a ton of information on this one. It's Gillette Brewing Company, Wyoming's first craft brewery, is what they say right there on their website.
Wyoming's first.
Yep.
Craft brewery.
Wyoming's first. So when I was talking to the owner of this of Gillette Brewing Company, he said that he just was home brewing and then decided to start the brewery because there wasn't one there yet. So that's kind of how they got their start. From my understanding, I think that they started at one building and now they're somewhere else. But the building that they have now is pretty cool. When you walk in, right away you see the bar counter. And then they have the beers that they have on tap up on like little wooden signs that hang over the kitchen door. And then I guess they have this thing called the Mug Club.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Did you do some research on it? You want to talk about it? Because I'm not 100% sure about it.
Basically, I don't know. They didn't say what the cost of it was, but it's similar to some of the ones we have here. Let's say it's $50. Let's just throw that out. I don't know if that's true or not, but just for this. So you give them $50. They give you like a 24 ounce or 20, whatever the size, basically a stein, a mug, and then you leave it there.
Okay.
And every time you come in, you get yours off the wall, and you can get access, at least this place, you get access to, they do a new beer every month release.
Okay.
So you get first access to that. You get a percentage off on the beers. I don't know if it was included food or not, but I would guess it probably does. There's just a few little perks, and I know Nebraska Brewing Company has one. Pint 9 has something similar to that. Boiler Brewing down in Lincoln has a membership club. It's not a mug. You don't get a mug, but it's like basically a buy-in sort of situation. So kind of fun. If it was your local spot, like this is the only one around, it'd be fun to be a member of that.
It'd be a good deal.
Yeah. And so right there across from the bar, you see everybody's mug on a shelf that just goes all the way down the hallway from when you first enter. And then the rest is just kind of like a seating, basic, wooden old building downtown kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Very, very Western feel to it. Cowboys, Wyoming, stuff like that.
From what I could tell, this was in the Gillette post office, old Gillette
Oh,
post
was it?
office. From what I could
Wow.
tell, from the picture I saw on Facebook, then I did some research on that, and the building was built in 1935 by the Public Works Administration, so the PWA. So back when the Great Depression and all that stuff was happening, and they set up this thing. It has a facade, so there's a main story, and then there's another story on top at the front of the building.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
I didn't look at it that hard, but I can, going back and remembering how tall it is,
So
for sure.
that part is just for show. It's only a single-story building. They didn't have enough money to make it two-story.
Wow.
So and that was what they used to do in old West towns all the time. Ghost towns. If you see them in a movie, it always looks like it's really tall.
Yeah, and
that's
it's
just for show. It's just always one level usually for the most part. So, and it's in the National Registry of Historical Places since October of 2008.
Wow.
And I think, is that everything I could find out about the building? That's about all I could find. There wasn't a whole lot anywhere to find.
It's by like walking distance of the courthouse. So if you ever have to leave the courthouse and make yourself feel better, it's right there.
Right there.
Yeah, catty corner to it.
Go grab yourself a mug off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Gary.
This one's got almost some smokiness to it.
It is way darker, a little smokier. Do you get a little sweetness more? Maybe just a little more sweetness out of it?
Let me try again.
Maybe. I get a little bit of that. Here's maybe where it is. It's 6.2, so it's a little bit higher.
Yeah.
IBUs are 39.
So it's a little bit more bitter, but not, I mean, it's still less than a pale ale. So it's not hoppy. I just get smokiness, and I could see how this would definitely go good with some spicy barbecue, a little sweet, a little spicy. Got that smoke to me.
It's
good.
I had
like
it with their pizza.
What kind of pizza did you have?
So we got the Yardbird.
Just go into all the detail you can. I'm just going to close my eyes.
Okay. All right. So it's basically a white sauce with chicken, artichoke, and I think maybe spinach on there. It was awesome.
How you feel about that? Artichoke?
I'd eat it. I'm not a big white sauce pizza guy,
Okay.
but you know what? I'd eat it.
Okay.
It was amazing, and my fiance and we ate the whole large pizza to ourselves while sitting there.
Good work.
And I had no regrets. It was so good. So
I'm so proud of this guy.
I know. He's come a long way.
apparently, it took them a while to get the pizza dough right for their oven, because their oven burns at like 800 some
So
degrees.
it's one of those like wood fire pizza ovens.
Yeah.
It takes like 3 minutes to cook a pizza.
Oh, it was quick.
Yeah.
And so they just kept redoing the dough, and finally they decided they were going to throw their own beer into the dough, and it worked.
Right.
And the dough was probably my favorite part of the pizza, and that's weird because
it's not meat or cheese.
Yeah,
or
exactly,
sauce.
exactly.
It's usually the last thing you're looking for.
Beer makes everything better.
Yeah, that proves it right there. It's science.
So has nothing to do with Wyoming whatsoever, but the
Pizza,
beer makes
hopefully?
not pizza, no poutine though. Like
Okay.
we've done that on Atlas Eats a few times. I was working for Cross Train doing that festival a couple weeks back, and they one of the guys from the food trucks, Well Seasoned, as a food truck, came over and had a big jug, and he's like, "Hey, can you do this for me again?" And the one girl that was working there was like, "Yeah, sure," and she filled the whole. It was like a big old pickle jar, empty pickle jar full of Dark Paradise. So they're amber, they're dark amber. And I'm like, what are you gonna do with that or whatever? He's like, oh, I use it for the base in my gravy for the poutine. I'm like, that sounds awesome.
That's next level. Yeah.
And by the time I got done, I went over there to get it, and it was sold out already.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Popular.
Yeah. So that's beer makes everything better.
Beer, food trucks, pizza, poutine. Golly.
Here's what I found out on my end about Gillette Brewing Company, Wyoming's first craft brewery, 301 South Gillette Avenue in Gillette, Wyoming. So they're all about the Gillette there. So I don't know. They all use Gillette razors before they come to work in the morning.
I don't know.
I haven't heard that joke for my entire
Say
life.
Dolan looks like he needs one.
Dolan does need a Gillette
A
razor.
little bit.
Maybe. Open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, closed on Sundays. So, like Dolan, like you said, this beer took home silver medal at the U.S. Beer Open Championship. Can't figure out what year, though. I looked and...
He told me when I had the conversation with him, and I'll find out when I email him this episode for sure. But I want to say it was 2014, 2015. But
Pretty new.
I like this style a lot. I don't think I've had a bad brown ale.
Yeah, there's a lot of leeway as far as flavor, what you're going to taste, some differences, but for the most part, this is one of the strongest you're going to find. Usually 6 is the cutoff. So 6.2 is just over the top of that.
Just a little bit high.
It's still not, it's not a whole lot worse than a Bud Light or something like that.
The one weird thing I found on this, though, there was an old Kickstarter campaign from 2013 where they wanted to expand their brewery. And they put the plans out there and everything, and they put it out on Kickstarter. And that's how they funded their expansion.
like Kickstarter, the website?
Yeah.
Kickstarter?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
That's the same way that Brickway
Is
did
it?
theirs, yeah.
I'd never seen that before, so I didn't know. Like, is that a popular or common way? I mean, I know Kickstarter's common, but it's usually for a product.
I've only seen it for Brickway, for breweries in Nebraska. I mean, because then everybody, from what I remember, because I was going to do it, you gave X amount of dollars, and then each tier up, you got, like, hey, you can come get a tour, or you can come make a beer, you can come have a beer named after you, you can, be here whatever X amount of days a month, and 50% off your tab or whatever. Like, it just kept going up and up and up the amount of money you wanted to give, and the level I was comfortable with was that sold out like instantly, bam. So I never ended up doing anything, and it meant it went over their goal within like a month or two.
Okay.
And then they had enough to get started. So that's, if you don't have a big investor or backer,
Right.
I don't know what the people that give you money are entitled to. I guess it's up to you, right? So
Sure. Yeah.
you can just say, you don't have any ownership or anything, but I'll give you 10 free beers and you can come on the opening day or something like that.
I noticed the highest level on this one was $10,000, and you could name the first beer.
That's pretty cool.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, and I know this is just the business side of me thinking, like, if I'm just going to randomly give $10,000 through the website,
something.
I want something for that.
Yeah.
I would do maybe slightly more for a percentage of ownership or whatever. And it doesn't have to be voting shares. I don't need to have any say whatsoever. I'll give you just use my money.
Right.
And then
Give me something back.
And then I will collect on when you're profitable.
Yeah.
And there you go. So I don't know.
I don't know. Naming the beer Rusty Nail or Hobo Pork Chop would be kind of cool.
That would be
That'd be worth it.
Dolan's Hobo Pork Chop Brown. That'd be pretty good. That has a nice ring to it.
Sir, do you want another hobo pork chop? Yes, I do.
Yes.
Right?
I think you're right, Dolan.
I'm in.
Okay.
I'm investing.
You're right.
Hey, Dolan, do you know what the town was called before it was Gillette?
Razor City?
Not that I found, but it might have been.
That's a joke.
Oh, okay. Razor City.
Yeah, I haven't heard that
Sorry.
Well, it's funny because a lot of businesses there play off the joke, and that's why I was saying I haven't heard that my entire life. So like this,
So they own it.
There's like Razor City Skateland, Razor City.
Oh.
Yeah,
Maybe they can't. I don't know.
Wear it
That's
like
so
a
weird.
badge.
I
That's
never
fine.
did find out why it's called Gillette, but I did find out it used to be called Donkey Town.
Oh, Donkey Creek is right through.
Because
right
Donkey
through.
Creek is right through there, so they call it Donkey
Yeah.
Town.
This
great.
Why is it so easy? Hobo pork chop. You're from Donkey City. Like, it's just so easy.
There's not city, it's a town.
Oh, just from Donkey
Town.
Donkey Town.
Oh, Donkey
Because
Town.
it's not big enough to be a city. But
Okay.
yeah, it was called Donkey Town at one point in time, but I don't know why they changed it to Gillette. I mean, it sounds nicer, I
'Cause
guess.
Donkey Town just doesn't sound.
Maybe the razors came in, they shaved the donkeys, became Gillette. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Founded in 1891, so pretty late as a town. I mean, we've been a state for 30 years or so by then.
I would assume it's because of how close it is to Devil's Tower. I know there's a lot of smaller towns there, but I mean, Devil's Tower is only like a 40-minute drive, and there's like no towns around the area
Okay.
other than Gillette, Moorcroft, and Rosette.
It was founded by the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad.
Okay.
So they were going out west to do tours and trips and go to, probably could be to see that site stuff. A lot of those train lines were to go see Yellowstone and Yosemite and all that stuff.
Yep.
So it's very likely that has something to do with it. That was the same company that built the Sheridan Inn.
Oh, okay.
So that's what Buffalo Bill used to move his show around the country. So he was partners with them.
Wait a minute. Devil's Tower? Is that what it is? Devil's Tower?
The one from
the very first
Close Encounters.
Yeah. Is that it?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. It just
Dolan's like, what's Close Encounters?
Close Encounters?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a movie.
Lost.
Steven Spielberg alien movie.
With the
Yep,
that's
exactly
not the
right.
one with I might be thinking
With E.T.? No,
Yeah,
it's
no.
not.
No, I was thinking what's the one with Mel Gibson?
Signs.
Signs.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
This is
way
from the
different movie.
70s. This has Richard
Yeah.
Dreyfuss in it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He
Yeah.
makes the potato sculpture.
Yeah,
I
mashed
wasn't a
potatoes, yeah.
thought in the 70s.
No, you weren't.
I don't even think I won't go there.
Okay.
All right, good. I know where you're going, and we're going to cut you off.
It was still called Donkey.
Yeah, still in Donkey Town.
Donkey Town.
1895, Dolan, there was a terrible fire in Gillette.
Oh, really?
It burned down everything except for 2 saloons, thank goodness,
Wow.
2 stores, and a restaurant. That's all that was left
Did it
in
name
the town.
Did it name any of that?
No.
Interesting.
I did find out there's something called Gillette syndrome. This is like a real event.
Okay.
And this is probably something, you and I talked about this a couple of days ago, about how, like when you said the mines opened up and stuff,
Yeah.
right? So Gillette syndrome is technically, quote unquote, I'm going to read this so I get it right, the social disruption due to rapid population growth.
Yeah.
So the town doubled its population in the 1960s.
Okay.
It went from 3,500 to like 8,000 people.
Was that because of the mines?
I don't know if it was because of the mine. They didn't say why there's a big boom, but maybe it would have been back then. But basically what you'll see with Gillette syndrome is a higher crime rate,
Okay.
higher cost of living,
Okay.
because they got to put all these people somewhere, and then like a detached society because people don't know your neighbors anymore. All these new people are coming in.
Yep.
So people are less likely to be out on their patio or front yard, and they're more likely to be inside, and all that stuff adds up to like higher crime, and sometimes it can stick for a long time. And then if the bubble bursts and all the people move back out again, that's really bad for the town. And that sounds like kind of what happened.
Well, yeah. So
Gillette.
when I was living there, the town had a lot more people in it because of there's a big mine outside of the town called Wyodak.
Okay.
And then there's another mine in the other direction by a town called Wright. Wright, Wyoming is small, very small. And so a lot of people like lived in their RVs in the Walmart parking lot. I mean, there was trailer courts that would go up, and people would buy these homes out and just live there while they work in the mines. And then a couple years back, it was a few years back, a lot of those mines laid off a ton of people. And going back now, I can kind of tell there's a lot of abandoned trailer houses, couple homes that have been abandoned too. There's one in particular that I remember, and now it's tore down. So you could see a little bit of that, but also they have done some stuff with their education system, splitting the school into 2 high schools, and it's kind of, I think it's still growing, but it definitely cut down after everyone got laid off for sure.
I wonder what the main industry is there. Like, is it still mining?
I think it's still mining.
What kind of mining is
Yeah.
it? Do you know?
Coal mining.
Coal mining.
Yeah.
That's not easy work.
No.
No. A lot of people end up with a ton of health problems later in their life because
Black
of it.
lung.
Yeah.
Top. Oh, that's Maine.
Hey, guess what?
Maine. That's weird.
The tallest building that I could find in Gillette was
The
built.
bank.
No, well, maybe. It was built in 1928,
Oh, okay.
and it might be a little taller than the bank. It could be back and forth. The bank was built like in the 80s, maybe late 70s, early
Okay.
80s. The co-op.
Oh, wow.
The co-op,
The
the
co-op.
grain co-op, built in 1928, so it's 90 years old,
Wow.
is technically the tallest building.
I can't even picture in my head which grain co-op this is.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw it on the internet. I thought
Interesting.
that was weird.
I'll check it out. I thought, because there's this big bank, and it's called First Interstate Bank or something like that.
It almost looked like a water tower to me. It was like built up off the ground a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
weird.
It's you have to like go up
And then-
this hill to get to the drive-through of the bank. Like, but yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird from what I remember.
Now, when did you live there?
So I lived there. Oh man, I moved. Well, let's see.
2000?
2006, 2007, 2000. Maybe it was even earlier than that.
We are so old.
We are old.
Rich.
We're stupid old. Yes.
Golly.
Yeah.
2004, actually. 2004, 2005.
Okay.
And you went to high school there, right?
I went to my freshman year.
I mean, he was supposed to go.
Yeah. So I did a lot of moving back and forth between here and there. But yeah, 2004 I moved there and then lived there all the way up until 2012.
I tried to find some interesting things like I had in Sheridan, in Gillette, and there was nothing except for one thing, and it's dark as hell. So we're gonna get into it, right? Lady's name is Cheryl Trover, Trover.
Okay.
And she was a teacher at the school, Gillette School.
She taught Dolan in...
No, it wouldn't have been this
The
time.
Gillette School.
So this was in 1988, December 5th, 1988.
What grade were you in 88?
Was I in 88? Let's see. It would have been...
I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah, you're old.
I know.
I was in 4th grade.
Jeez.
So this could have been me. So
Okay.
Cheryl Trover, Trover, gets off of work, whatever. Kidnaps her children, her own kids. Shoots her husband. Doesn't kill him. That didn't kill him. So then she stabbed him to death.
Oh, okay.
And she got the gun from her boyfriend,
Oh, boy.
who happened to be the principal of the school.
Oh.
And it was kind of a big brouhaha, and it made the national news because it was her husband found out about the affair,
Okay.
and she's like, "Well, I gotta get rid of him, kidnap the kids, kill the husband, take off." Principal, he's also married,
Yep.
went bad, and she got caught. And it was like like Dateline.
Yeah.
It was like one of those stories. We had one like that when I was a kid in elementary school.
Really?
Yeah, I remember walking past their house every day when I would go to Zeman Elementary, walking with my sister. And it was a dad that went nuts and killed his whole family. It was like about a block from our school. And kids I went to school with were in the house. And it was one of those things, every time you walked by it was just kind of creeped you out. So they had a similar situation in Gillette in the 80s.
In her head, like, you got to wonder, like, did she think, like, oh, this is going to be okay? Like, me and
They'll never know it was me.
Principal Joe are going to live together in
So,
harmony and
there's
love.
there's a term for this. Like, people that have this, there's a term. It's called a family annihilator. So you can get like
Sounds dark.
Look at the big brain on
diagnosed
Dolan over here.
for
Wow.
this. Yeah. So most of those people, like, because you have your serial killers or whatever, and they are serial killers.
Yeah, and then there's mass killers,
And then
that's
there's
different.
Yeah, but
Sure.
the family annihilator is usually only going to kill once, and it's because back then it's more of like a honor
wanna
or
start
reputable
over.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I could see, like, I know that happened a lot in the late 1800s and stuff.
Sure.
Was like, I mean, there was no crime detection. Like if it happened,
Yeah.
it was over. Like they weren't gonna catch you.
No.
There's no DNA or fingerprints even or anything. So like that happened a lot.
You could just say I don't even know.
It's like, oh, he moved off. He broke up with me and he moved to Kentucky.
He
And
left.
You'd be like, well, I guess he moved to Kentucky.
The tornado came through and took him away.
Yeah. So stuff like that happened. I think maybe somewhere in their minds they just think like, if I just get rid of this, I can just start over.
Right.
And they obviously got some issues besides that, but
Well, a lot of
At
times,
some point during the stabbing, you'd think, wow, this is bad.
yeah.
and the twisted thing about it, and I don't know if it's true in this case, but if she was truly like a family annihilator, the twisted thing about it is when she got caught, she probably told some story that his life is better now without me.
Oh.
Weird.
Yeah. So it's more of like I'm doing you a service.
I'm helping you out
Yeah.
by killing you? Wow.
Yeah, like I've
This
caused
got
you
real dark, guys.
I've
It
caused
did.
you so much pain. Let me help you.
I'm going to drink more of this beer
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
Jeez.
Drown those sorrows.
That is
So
depressing.
this is unrelated, but we're kind of on the topic still. As someone that has a criminal justice degree, there's a couple of things that you always hear in the news.
Okay.
Or stories or whatever, and they just drive me crazy. They're like pet peeves of mine,
All right.
professional pet peeves.
Okay.
So I'm going to hit you with them, and you tell me if it bothers you, if it makes a difference. But there's things that just drive me crazy. When people say somebody is going to jail, and they're actually in prison, or vice versa.
Okay.
Like jail is where you go before your court stuff happens.
Okay.
And then you're sentenced and you go to prison.
Yes.
And they just interchange them, and they don't. They're like, oh, he's in jail now. Like, well, no, that's prison.
That's one of my
different.
biggest pet peeves about
So
those.
I can't stand that one. And then when people, the serial killer, and then like mass killer, like those are totally different brains and activities,
Right.
and they lump those together. And it's like just because somebody killed 5 people doesn't make them a serial killer if they did it in the same day.
Sure.
Like there has to be a cooling off period. There has to be a lot of these other steps that they do before they commit another crime to be considered a serial killer.
Okay.
And in popular culture, they're just kind of lumped together a lot of times, and that just drives me crazy.
So mass killer, you're talking like Jim Jones type of dude.
Yeah, or somebody that rolls in and shoots up a bank, or
Yeah,
you know,
they kill multiple people
at
at
one
one
time.
time.
Okay.
Serial killers, repeated.
And they could do multiple at one time too, but then there's a
Right.
cooling off period where they, that killing somebody is what satisfies this feeling inside of them, and that's supposed to, for them, it's like drugs basically. They're chasing that high, right? And then that high wears off, and then they have to do it again and again, and then usually the cooling off time gets less and less and less. They get sloppier and sloppier. A lot of people say they want to get caught towards the end, and they get real sloppy. Every once in a while, there's some different ones that don't get caught, but that seems to be the makeup of it. And that always drives me crazy when I'm reading a story or in a movie or something. I'm just like, just get it right. I
Interesting.
went to college for this. Wasting my degree. Getting mad about serial killer designations.
Do you know what makes me mad? When people when they spell theater wrong.
Oh, yeah, with
It's TRE, right?
Well, it depends. RE is like live theater. ER
is a movie
is
theater.
movie theater.
Well, thank you for
See,
clearing
we
that
learned
up.
something.
Yeah.
See? Dolan, what about you? You got any?
Clearly,
professional
my pet peeves aren't nearly as bad.
They're not as dark as
no,
mine.
not
but
nearly as dark.
That's still deep-seated somewhere in there.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have any pet peeves
Okay.
that like really, grind my bones or whatever. Yeah.
Dolan's be like, I'm listening to a podcast and they're using a C410 microphone, and
Yeah, it
they
should be this other
using
one.
a-
They should have this audio cable.
They don't have a condenser on the
You can tell they just
Yeah.
plugged right in.
pop
oh
filter.
My gosh.
Stupid amateurs.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah, actually,
Here we go.
Speaking
boy.
of this,
Here we
if we're gonna go that, my biggest pet peeve is when you watch videos and the audio is not synced with the person's lips. It is not hard to fix that. I could teach somebody in 30 seconds how to fix that.
Wow.
See, mine is like when they just don't care about the audio. And I'll do it. So then when they're talking and it's like back here,
Yeah.
it's super echoey in the room. Like you can tell the microphone's too far from their. Like seriously, get yourself an external mic. It's not hard. Other companies in Omaha that are making videos right now,
Oh,
get
boy.
yourself a
Just get a good mic.
have
Yeah.
some self.
You don't even have to do much editing to audio
No.
to have a good mic.
or just lower. The one has a boom mic. Just lower it down.
Pull it,
Just pull it
Get the
down.
Bob Barker. Get
Yeah.
that one. Whatever you need to get. Just get the right stuff.
Oh man. Okay, there
Wow.
we go. There we go.
Oh, wow! I kind of feel like I was, now I'm in my cooling moment. There.
You're cooled off now.
Yeah, I'm
now
cooled
that you
off.
expose that.
All right, so I looked up the top 5 industries in Wyoming here. Number 1 is mining and extraction. So
Okay.
oil, gas,
yeah,
coal.
lots of oil.
Yeah. Number 2, tourism, then agriculture, then manufacturing, and then logistics.
I got to think agriculture is mostly ranching.
Mostly
right?
ranching, yeah. So there's a lot of, lot of ranching. There's actually, it's kind of cool. There's a ton of buffalo ranches there, and you can get buffalo for cheaper than you can in Nebraska.
86% of the state's total agriculture receipts are generated by livestock products. 78% of the total agriculture receipts can be attributed to beef cattle.
Yeah.
Beef, yep.
In terms of revenue generated, Wyoming's top 5 agriculture products are beef cattle, then calves, then hay, then sugar beets, hogs,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
then
sugar
sheep.
beets. Sugar beets are big in western Nebraska too, right
Sugar
on the
beets.
border between there and that.
Old beet
I
farmer.
always tell people, for my money, Wyoming and then northeastern Utah beats Colorado for me, hands
Beautiful.
down.
Really?
Just gorgeous. And there's so few people. There's just less people everywhere. Even in like Jackson Hole, Wyoming, right? It's probably the most tourist place in all of the state. It's still nothing like. There's less people there than you're going to see at a Denver Rockies baseball game.
Totally.
You know, so I just love.
Yeah.
I love Wyoming.
That's why
it's so
Han Solo
beautiful.
lives there. That's
why.
Han
Hey,
Solo and
so
Ally McBeal.
coming back to the beer,
Yeah.
did you check Untapped there?
I did, yeah. So I was going to get to that. Untapped.
okay.
Only 278 ratings for this one, which I think is
Yeah.
a weird change
low.
from the 7,500 on the other one.
Yes.
278. What do you think?
So I would have to say 3 point.
I go 3.2. Yeah.
Yeah.
3.48.
Yeah.
So, but
So,
only
not that much
278
different.
ratings is
That's low.
Well, here's the thing. Like I noticed when I was there, going back to they had the monthly beers, and when I was there, it was the one called the Long Reach Cream Ale. Well, when you went there, it was called the Long Reach Gold Ale. And
Yeah.
and in the
Untapped, it was something different.
it was cream ale, and that seemed to be the thing with a lot of their beers. Like in the brewery, it was called something different than what it was in Untapped, and I don't know if it's just because they changed their name over the years, or what it was. But that Long Reach cream ale, by the way, was butter popcorn in a glass. Is what it was.
weird.
Buttered
You
popcorn.
smelled it. It smelled like movie theater with an ER. Popcorn.
Good call. See, he learned.
Yeah, he didn't want to smack.
and it tasted like it too.
Huh. I wouldn't want to drink a lot of that.
Nope.
I'd try it.
You know,
Like this
it's-
much would be enough.
It's not as like salty or buttery as you think it's gonna be,
Yeah.
but it's definitely there.
You get the smell more than the
like
flavor.
a jelly bean.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like a popcorn jelly bean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
It was, it was good.
I need to go just for the pizza.
Oh yeah,
I want pizza.
pizza was probably some of the best pizza that I've had in a long time.
Interesting. Well,
Well, there it is. Wyoming breweries.
thank
Thanks,
you, Dolan. These
Yeah.
were really, really good. I think if I had now, I like doing this. If I had to choose, I would order the Saddle Bronc over the Locomotive. I would order the Black Tooth Brewing over the Gillette Brewing Company.
I think it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just drinking a beer, I'd probably drink this one, like a
Okay.
pint of this. But if I was eating something, I'd probably go with that
You
one.
would drink the Gillette Brewing Company.
Just straight.
Okay.
Versus that one. I think that one would pair with food a lot.
So the Saddle
differently.
Bronc with food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
You know, so the beer tastes a lot different now that it's been in the squealer for a couple days. So right now, just from this podcast, I would have chosen the Black Tooth over that. But when you get it straight draft at the place, I would choose the Gillette Brewing
Was it
one.
that dark?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was, but I think some of the bubbles might be gone. It's
A little lower carb. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because even when you pour that pretty hard, it's. I mean, there's some bubbles there, but
Yeah,
not like when we took it out of the can.
Right.
No. Yeah, so that was definitely a little bit more carbonated in the brewery. I don't know if it's just because it's been in the squealer for like since Friday, and we're shooting this on a
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
That could be. Yeah.
maybe.
So I don't know, but that's how I would do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
Interesting.
Well, it's a good thing you drank them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no kidding.
You were going to go the other way.
I was gonna go the other way.
Well, either way, I appreciate you bringing them for us.
Yeah, it's great.
Those are really good. All right,
Yeah.
Dylan,
That was fun.
Maybe you should go back to Wyoming again sometime and
Yeah.
explore some other breweries for
And
us.
shout out to the owner of Gillette Brewing Company. He makes some really good beers, and he gave me a lesson through all of them too. And they brew it
Nice.
right there in the basement. So yeah,
Cool.
You have to tag him when we put this up then.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna email him this. For sure.
Awesome. All right, well, Brian, we aren't
Yeah.
going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Let's have another.